Hey, Matt Leone.
Hello.
Today we are taking a look at Rising Thunder, which is a new free-to-play, PC exclusive for now fighting game coming from Seth Killian.
Yes.
Seth Killian himself, who people may know from just being a generally well-known figure in the fighting game community. You had the chance to go check this game out recently and actually talk to Seth a little bit about it. How was that whole experience? Like, what is your, as a fighting game liker, what is your take on Rising Thunder so far in this very early state?
I think the title makes me think of a Killer Instinct game for some reason.
Okay.
But
you know what else does is I'm assuming, because it's free to play, I'm assuming the model, like the pricing model, kind of reminds me of a Killer Instinct game, too.
Maybe. Yeah, although the way they describe it, it's almost more like a League of Legends or something like that, where what you're going to be buying are like cosmetics, like hats and stuff.
Gotcha.
But so like all the other stuff will be free. It's not like Killer Instinct where you're like buying characters and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, like you can see it here, like it's almost like Rise of the Robots a little bit, just because you are using robots, and I don't know, this character Vlad, I think, kind of reminds me of the guy from Big Hero 6.
I love looking at Vlad. Something about him is very adorable. He's got this little flag that pops out of his head when he wins matches. Yeah, there's something kind of cool about this cast. They don't look like other fighting game characters, to be sure. They're all kind of surprisingly international. Like Shell speaks almost entirely in Spanish. There's a Russian robot, which is nice.
Yeah, it's weird because you wouldn't think robots would have much personality.
No.
And I did kind of get confused between some of them, and like
Sure.
it's hard to tell them apart. But I think that's true with any cast. The kind of like the first time you play, because when I first sat down to play it, I played it for like 5 minutes, so
Totally.
I just kind of get that glimpse of it. But yeah, I think that does a good job. So like I was asking him like the reason they use robots. And they're saying that, so they have what's called like a variant system, which is basically like a loadout at the beginning of each match.
Right.
So you can choose like what moves and abilities you want for your character. So they're saying it's about like, I guess about 100 different variants per character.
Whoa.
And you don't have them all up front, like kind of dole them out as you play,
Right.
as you can upgrade so it doesn't overwhelm you. So yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say like, what advantages or disadvantages that would give you, because there's a lot of different stuff you're going to play around with there. But I think the bigger thing here that we haven't touched on yet is kind of the input.
Yeah, so like philosophically, this game kind of differs from most fighting games in that it's not really about. I mean, I guess you could probably speak to it more because you spoke to the developers, but it's not focused on these big, convoluted, multi-button, quarter circle forward inputs.
Yeah, it's based around the idea that most fighting games are too complicated, like on the surface, basically. So basically, the action of performing a move or memorizing an input or something like that. So like every move in the game is a single button. Like the most complicated move is holding a direction while pressing a button.
Right.
And because of that, it's like they say that a lot of people want to use keyboards to play it. Because you're not doing like fireball motions and that kind of thing. I was thrown. So like I played it both on the keyboard and the controller. And on the keyboard it felt natural because like I didn't have to struggle to kind of get a move out.
Right.
On the controller I was like so ingrained in like looking at it, and like everything else kind of works like Street Fighter does.
Yeah.
So like for that not to threw me at first. Like I was doing moves when I didn't have to, just because like that's what I felt like it was supposed to happen when a fireball came out.
And for me personally, I found that I was a little less mashy than in normal fighting games because like your inputs are on these cooldown timers, and so you kind of can't pick up the controller and just treat it. Even as like a pretty casual fighting game player like me, I can't just pick up and mash the way I'm used to, and it took some mental readjustment to do that.
Right. It's more deliberate, and so basically their pitch for it is that once you get beyond that, once you get beyond the not having to memorize or figure out how to master a move every single time you want to do it, then everything else is as hardcore as you'd expect from a real fighting game like this.
I mean, it almost philosophically reminds me a little bit of Dive Kick, a game that I loved a lot because it stripped away like some of the or all of the like surface level complexity and allowed you to just get into like what do they call it, the Yomi, the mind games or whatever. Like
yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, philosophically it's a nice comparison, but Dive Kick is like super extreme. Whereas this game, it basically just makes it so there's no motions.
Right.
That's the main difference. And then obviously the free-to-play thing is different, and some of the kind of character design, all that kind of stuff. But
so,
yeah,
one of the things that I'll be curious to see once this game gets like announced and the sort of fighting game community gets to see it.
Announced today, or when we're recording this.
Right, yeah. I'm curious, like, to you as an actual fighting game player, is there any part of you that kind of bristles at the reduced complexity? Like, is there any pride associated with execution of moves, or like, are you excited to see a game that kind of de-emphasizes that?
I'm not hardcore enough to care. I feel like the more, like, there's enough games that are like that, so if you're going to do another game, why not try something different? But there is a little bit, like, I was playing this and I was talking about it, like, there is some satisfaction about performing a move, like in Street Fighter. Like, even just something as simple as a fireball. Like, people have learned that and they've known how to do it for 20 years or whatever, but the simple motion, it feels good, and it kind of, like, mimics what's happening on screen, which is not true of all moves, but it's true of some. And I feel like that is gone here. So it's much more like, it's less emotional to perform a move. It's just like, you just press the button. Like,
it definitely felt weird to, like, shoot a projectile with a projectile-based character just by tapping A, right? Like, wrapping my head around that was pretty weird for a second.
And I was asking them about that, and their response was that they agree. They're like, yes, that is something that we lose. But they think what they gain in the kind of reliability of, like, everybody being able to perform something exactly when they want, and that kind of thing, it far exceeds it. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I haven't played it nearly enough to know whether I agree with that or not. But I like that it's doing something different, because there's plenty of games that do that already. So you might as well try something new.
Cool. Well, this is a quick little look at Rising Thunder. Have they announced when this is going? I mean, I know they want to get the community involved, right? So when is this going to be available?
Soon. So they said about a week from now. So it's going to be out in like they're calling it like a technical alpha. They'll be putting that out. And I don't know if everyone will be able to get in like the first day. They might have to, like, be rolling some people in or whatever. But so they're going to do that, and then they're going to add, like, characters and variants and everything basically for the next year or so.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Matt.
Thank you.